Hey guys, Ben here. Welcome back to another live stream. Today we are live with the DCTV show, episode 112. We've got Declan here once again. He's becoming a regular on the channel,
I really
which
am
is
at this
very
point.
nice. Once every 2 weeks or so. But yeah, welcome Dec, and welcome to everyone that is in the live chat. I'm very excited to do today's live stream. We've got some interesting topics. We got the Superman Legacy castings that just happened and was released this week. Also, we had some interesting Arrowverse teasers from some of the stars of the shows. So that's something we're going to be discussing. And also some other stuff that I kind of want to kind of backtrack on and talk to Dec about, and also talk to you guys. So please be sure to engage throughout the live stream, whether it's just in the live chat or you can send in super chats to support the channel, and you'll be answered straight away on the live stream by me and Declan about your certain topics, your questions, or your theories that you want to send in. And obviously, that's greatly appreciated if you send in any super chats. But first things first, let's give a shout out to Jamie, 31 months as a member. Shout out to Jamie. That is awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my God, my cat just turned my light off. Yeah. And as always, Hazel is going to be making an appearance in this live stream. Anyway, I'll sort that light out in a minute. She's literally just behind the laptop, just causing chaos. And Nathan is back as a super legendary friend. So thank you very much, Nathan, for rejoining. And so Dec, how are you doing? And how's life since we last saw you?
Yeah, good. I mean, I had a nice little week away last week, which is why I didn't show up on last week's stream.
Nice holiday.
My girlfriend's birthday. So yeah, it was a lovely time away. Really nice couple of days. Really recharged the batteries. But yeah, we're back now.
Back to reality. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, like I said to Dec before this, I had an eventful week. I had my film premiere, which was super exciting. That was at the Prince Charles Cinema in London. Got the cat cameo. She's literally behind the screen. And then last night, this is literally her. She's just like,
this is the best thing I could possibly ask for.
This is content, guys. This is content right here. Literally the disruption by the cat, and my laptop's shaking because she's like touching it. And then last night, like I said, more eventful stuff. Was playing football, sprained my ankle really bad. I thought I broke my ankle, but I'm okay. But I'm in crutches, so I'm not going to be getting up. I'm not going to be getting around the live stream, guys. I'm going to be sitting still, talking to you guys throughout this live stream. And so eventful few days, but a good couple of days despite being hurt very bad yesterday. But in the live chat, we've got Nathan, who has just gifted 5 memberships to people in the live stream. So Eric Robin has become a member of the channel, Rodimus, Blackweather, The Conqueror, Alex Show. So welcome to all of you guys who are new members. Thanks to Nathan. So shout out to Nathan for doing that. And that means you can join in on our members, our next members call. We're going to be doing, like a live stream, like a special. And so for those of you guys who are in the live stream right now and listening, you can join in on that next live stream. We'll be setting that up pretty soon. So if you are one of those new members in the chat, please be sure to tell us your Instagram or your Twitter and give us a message at the DCTV show, and we'll be sure to include you in one of those streams. So shout out to Nathan for being super generous and, spreading love to the other viewers of the channel. There you go. I found the light switch. Okay, so thanks, Nathan. Let's move on to our first main topic of the live stream. Okay, let's talk Superman, Lois, and Stargirl. So there was Wales Comic Con the other day. You didn't actually... Well, I mean, that's not that too far from you. I don't know where in Wales it was.
Wales Comic Con is actually very, very close to me. I've gone to Wales many times. It's in Wrexham.
Wrexham. Oh, yeah.
Wrexham's obviously got a lot of attention in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's in Wrexham, which is literally about 20 minutes, half an hour drive from me. Although sometimes the Wales Comic Con now is in Telford, which is hilarious because it's not in Wales.
Yeah, that's England.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly which one this was, but I wasn't there myself. Yeah, it's a nice little convention, Wales.
Yeah, I've heard quite a lot of people who've been there before. Like, I think I know a lot of people, obviously including yourself. But they normally get like a decent amount of guests in for these Comic Cons, and so one of the guests that they got this time was Breck Bassinger or Basinger, I forget how you pronounce it, but she plays Stargirl, of course, and Alex Garfin, who plays Jordan Kent on Superman and Lois. And so also Matt Ryan was there for the panel, but he didn't say anything in the specific clip that we're going to be discussing. But basically at this Arrowverse panel, they talked about the potential crossover between Stargirl and Superman and Lois. Now, of course, this is just, in response to a question from, the main moderator or from the crowd. I don't remember. I think the clip kind of starts like, at the start of Breck's answer. But basically, she teased like a potential Stargirl, Superman, Lois crossover. She just talks about like how, the final season of Stargirl, which we never got, which would have been season 4, would have been to do with the multiverse, and that Titan's little cameo was setting up for that new season. And so basically they would have tried to get crossovers in every episode of Stargirl season 4, which is kind of insane. I don't know if they would have gone through with that 100%. Like, obviously now it's like wishful thinking, because maybe Jeff Johns wants to do that, retrospectively. He could have been like, oh, that would have been cool to do. But in reality, we're never going to know if that was going to be the case. But this crossover was teased by Breck and Alex. And what did you make of it? Do you think there's actually any credence to it? Is it just them like speculating? Because clearly they don't know the ins and outs as of right now. What do you think?
I think it was one of them where like it was definitely something that was probably in the back of their heads, the creatives anyway. I'm not sure if it ever would have happened though, purely for the fact of, as we've sort of discussed on this live stream before, like I think the creators of Superman and Lois are very kind of intent on keeping the show standalone. So going into bringing in other shows, like I know Stargirl wasn't directly a part of the Arrowverse, but I don't know if they really would want to stretch to that. But then at the same, like, there was obviously that scene in Titans, which started to spread the multiverse a little bit more on that side of things. So it was definitely a possibility. I think that's definitely for sure a possibility. However, I think it probably would have been more likely that we would have seen Stargirl crossover with like the Flash if that was still happening, rather than Superman and Lois. I reckon
the same. Like, I feel if anything was more likely, definitely the Flash and Stargirl, considering what they've been talking about since it ended to do with the multiverse, how season 4 would have been to do with that, and it would have been cool actually to see Stargirl in that final season of the Flash, considering they did so many crossovers. Obviously, Arrow was the big one, which we all loved that episode. But yeah, I guess looking back, I'm kind of surprised they didn't include Stargirl at all in that final season. But
it makes sense because in Stargirl they have the JSA with
and Jay
John
Garrick
Wesley
showed
Shipp.
up.
Yeah, John Wesley Shipp is Jay Garrick, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense. And, I think that's the most logical crossover for Stargirl. I think a while ago there was a rumor that, like, Batwoman was supposed to cross over with Superman and Lois in season 1, but that never, like, actually turned out.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that?
I remember that. It was like right at the start of COVID. I remember it got announced. They said that there was going to be a crossover between, like, and it was going to be the only crossover they did that year because they couldn't, because of COVID, they weren't able to do big scale crossover. So they thought, okay, we'll do it between these two shows. But then I think that all got thrown out. I imagine COVID was obviously a technicality, but I believe it got thrown out because of the whole Ruby Rose drama.
Yeah.
Because this was around the time that she left.
Yeah.
So it all kind of got thrown into disarray.
Yeah, I remember that. And like you said, the Ruby Rose drama obviously didn't help, but the lockdowns and the restrictions didn't help. And then I think at that point during the pandemic, I feel like Todd Helbing probably thought to himself, okay, we're probably best like if we kind of steer on our own for a bit until, the restrictions are over and everything. And then I think he got to the point where he just had to double down on it. That's the way that he wanted to take the show. And so I feel like this Stargirl crossover, yes, it would be cool. And I like that the actors are teasing this, like, because, as fans, we like to think, oh, what could be? But I think in reality, if we look at it properly with, how back in season 2, Superman and Lois basically announced they're not part of like Earth Prime, they tried to separate themselves away. And, he just hasn't been very big on trying to actually get crossovers going. So I don't trust Todd Helbing. However, the only thing going against that is he's also got a new co-showrunner. So maybe that could be a voice saying, maybe we should do a crossover because it's the end of the Arrowverse. Like, we don't know how this guy acts. I don't even know his name, but we know there is a co-showrunner. So do you think he could have any influence?
I mean, if he's a co-showrunner, he's going to have at least, a decent amount of control. And like you say, it's just a different voice. It's just a different voice in the room. Even in the writers' room as well, just like sort of chucking ideas around. If he's a bit more inclined to do stuff like that, then it might potentially sway Todd Helbing to go the other way. And perhaps, especially with it being the final season, the end of the Arrowverse, it might be the time to do something. And like I say, if this new showrunner is a bit more lenient on those sorts of things and is interested in doing those sorts of things, then I think it does open. Like, I think it makes it more possible than it was before.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it's actually kind of a good thing that we have someone else there who is kind of in charge. So we'll see. I mean, never say never, but I like that they're teasing it. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Let's go over a few of these super chats that have been sent in. So shout out to Jamie for sending in the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Jamie says, what's your guys' opinions on the new Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths animated 3-parter? Did you see the trailer?
I've seen the trailer, yeah.
Okay, you've seen the trailer, so we can talk about it. So, plus, who do you see showing up in Superman Lois Season 4? Okay, let's answer the first bit first. I saw the trailer. I really liked the trailer. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I like the trailer. I thought it looked really cool. I'm kind of shocked that DC hasn't done a Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie, at least to this degree, before. Like, it's obviously one of their biggest stories in the history of the comics. So the fact they've never done it before, I think, is quite surprising. But I thought it looked really cool. I've been enjoying the current modern slate of DC animated movies, like the Tomorrowverse, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that. I've not seen all of them, but I've seen a few. I think it looks really cool. One of my favorite things about it that stood out to me, and I've seen some other people talk about this as well on like Arrowverse side of Twitter, is the fact that Iris is playing a kind of big role within this, and they've race bent her to obviously being African American, which is obviously an influence from the Flash TV show,
which is great.
Which is great, and I think that's really cool to kind of have that influence. The show did have some level of influence, because Iris in the comics, of course, is traditionally white, but this version that we're going to be getting in this movie is very influenced by Candace Patton's version, which I think is really, really nice.
Yeah, I really like that, to be honest. When she popped up in the trailer, I was like, oh, that's sick. Like, because to me, Iris, I don't look at Iris as Iris from the comics. I look at it like it's Candace Patton, because we're the Flash fans. So it's nice to see like almost an iteration of Candace in animated form. Like, I know the Arrowverse did animated stuff before. This isn't necessarily linked, but it's cool to see the influence of the Arrowverse on these other projects, right? Like, I feel we're going to see that more and more. Like, I feel when they eventually get to in the DCU, like Green Arrow or something, it's definitely going to be influenced by Stevens Oliver, right? And when we see a new version of the Flash, definitely going to be more Grant Gustin than Ezra Wright. That's just how I feel. Like, So I love seeing the influence of the Arrowverse, and I really liked the trailer. I thought it was really cool. Kind of just perfectly encapsulates Crisis. Obviously, in the animated form, they can go a little bit bigger than the Arrowverse. I think a lot of people were a little bit underwhelmed by Crisis, even though it was good and it was great send-off for Oliver, and the story was interesting. I think, the Anti-Monitor was a little bit of a letdown, in my opinion. I wasn't totally convinced. I wasn't totally convinced by the Anti-Monitor, to be honest. He wasn't the scariest person, but obviously it had a big impact on the Arrowverse, and so it was an interesting and very important storyline, which kind of kickstarted Superman Lois, to be honest. It gave everyone an excuse to not have to be part of, like, what they were a part of before, their realities, and kind of blended like Supergirl more into the Flash. And so with this 3-part film, apparently 3 parts, that's kind of crazy. I'm going to be looking forward to it. film after film, we're just going to be, waiting, and I like that. It's more like a TV kind of schedule. What do you think of them splitting it up into different parts?
I think it'll make it a fun watching experience. I think them splitting it into 3 parts, it almost does remind me of, like, say, like a TV format, almost like Crisis in the Arrowverse.
Split
Obviously, that was like a
into
5-parter.
different nights, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be cool. Like an idea of like a Crisis trilogy. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And yeah, do you think some people have been talking about, potential voice cameos? How likely do you think it is to get some familiar voices in for this?
Never say never, I'd say, in regards to this particular project. Like
Because
I think
Crisis.
It's Crisis, and also with it being animation, it's a lot easier to get someone like, say, Grant Gustin or Stephen Amell to come in and do, especially if it's like a voice cameo role. That involves them coming into the booth for a very, very short amount of time, day tops, just to do, a couple of lines. Like, I think that's going to be very much a possibility. And the whole idea of Crisis is like, it's the multiverse and exploring all elements of the multiverse, and I feel like it's just bound to happen, really. I think I'm a bit more cynical on this podcast when it comes to like the idea of these potential crossovers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the case of animation, I'm a bit more like, yeah, I don't really see a reason why it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, there's no reason unless, they actively want to separate themselves, which I don't think they want to actively separate themselves,
No.
unlike, the DCEU, actively avoiding Grant Gustin showing up in the Flash, which was just hilarious and annoying. But yeah, okay. Let's move on to Jamie's second question. Who do you see showing up on Superman Lois season 4? Who do you think is most likely? We've talked about this before. We think obviously Supergirl would make, I think, the most sense. We talked about Grant Gustin showing up because, multiverse. Declan, what are you thinking about right now for that?
I mean, has it been confirmed if Mercy Graves is going to be in season 4?
Wait, what did you say? Sorry,
Mercy Graves, has she been confirmed for season 4?
No, I don't think so.
Because that would be where my mind would go. I mean, if
that's the simplest one, right?
Yeah, like if Lex is coming in, it would make sense. And I feel like in the type of world and universe Superman and Lois is in, I feel like Mercy's the sort of character that does really fit in with that.
Yeah. We already, I believe, had Otis already. Okay. I think he was in those last 2 episodes. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Otis Graves.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. That's the most likely. I feel like in terms of like someone bigger, obviously, I think that's what Jamie, you're referring to. Like I said, Supergirl makes the most sense, but I guess maybe the Flash. Yeah, if we're talking other shows. But anyway, thank you very much, Jamie, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. We got another super chat, and you guys can keep sending them in, and we'll be sure to answer all of them as we go along in this live stream. So Sabarus sends in a $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Sabarus. They say, will Macabre Brooks appear as Jimmy Olsen in Superman Lois? So that's another option. Like that was brought up in the stream last week when you weren't here. Do you think it's a possibility? I think it's interesting that Superman and Lois, with Jimmy being so important to Superman in the comics, important in different projects and everything, do you think the show's missing out by not having Jimmy? I don't think they're missing out, because this is not about Superman in Metropolis at the newspaper. This is about the family. This is about Smallville. I don't think you need Jimmy Olsen, and I don't think Macabre Brooks is coming in this next season. What do you think?
No, I think, like you say, that Superman and Lois and the story it's telling, it's not in the Weekly Planet, Daily Planet.
Yeah.
That's my favorite podcast. They're not in the Daily Planet. They're not in Metropolis, like you say. So Jimmy isn't going to be as relevant in this particular type of story. But I do think it's kind of strange that maybe he hasn't at least appeared once, because he is a very important character. So I think there is a possibility we get Jimmy in season 4. Will it be Macabre Brooks? No. No, I don't think so. I mean, I really like Mehcad Brooks as an actor. I think he's really cool. And I liked him on Supergirl as Jimmy. I
Yeah,
thought he was a very different casting for what I would expect for like a Jimmy Olsen, but I liked
he's a
him.
cool Jimmy Olsen.
He's a cool Jimmy Olsen, yeah. I liked that kind of interpretation. It worked for Supergirl, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will return here. As
Yeah.
nice as it would be, especially because one thing I think we never really got in the Arrowverse really at all was the relationship between Clark and Jimmy, because they talk about it.
It's
like
just
they
referred
talk
to.
yeah, like Jimmy talks about the fact that he knows Superman and they've had like, you know, these interactions and stuff, but we just don't really see it. And I think even when we eventually got like Superman in the Arrowverse, he kind of, I think there was like only one real or a couple of interactions with him, which was like in early Supergirl season 2, and then we didn't really get much beyond that. So it would be nice, but I just don't think it's going to happen with Mehcad Brooks, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Welcome, Willie. He's been a member for 11 months. Thank you very much. And welcome to the chat. Fabian in the chat says, will Melissa Benoist appear on Superman and Lois? Like we said, it makes a lot of sense because obviously Supergirl set up Superman and Lois, but Melissa's quite busy. She's got that show she's working on. I don't know. Like, it would have to pay a lot of money. Like, we don't know how it works, but I'm pretty sure to get actors who are like relatively big, you know, you got to entice them. So, and like I said before, I don't know if Superman and Lois necessarily wants to waste their money, which has been significantly cut on, you know, lots of crossover cameos. So, yeah, I think it's not super likely, but oh, this is good. Nicole Maines appearing to meet John. Yeah, that would be awesome. Actually, I would say that's more likely than Supergirl at this point because Nicole is very involved in DC still. She's writing comic books to do with Dreamer, and she appeared in the Flash's final season. So, yeah, that's more likely, I would say, just because of her being available and being like actively super into the character still. And like I actually saw her at this Comic-Con in Birmingham I went to in May, the Ultimates. She was there, and you know, I think she actually referred to, you know, coming back as like a possibility. So yeah, let's move on to our next topic. So during that same panel at Wales Comic-Con, Alex Garfin, who plays Jordan Kent, aka Superboy, confirmed that episode 1 has been written already, and that he's read it. So that is a big confirmation, because I feel like the last time we talked, Deck, I feel like, I know you're not like super caught up on Superman and Lois, but at that point we weren't sure, because the writer's strike had ended, the actor's strike had just ended. We weren't sure how far along they were with this new season, but episode 1's done. He's already read it. It's a final script. Like, they wouldn't give it to the actors without it being finalized. So clearly they're on episode 2 or 3 by now. And don't you think that's a good sign?
That'd be a good sign. I think that's also a sign that we, you know, are going to start seeing production start in the new year. Probably, as we predicted, around January. So I think, yeah, it's definitely a good sign.
Yeah, and like we said before, there is a tentative start date. I think it was January 11th, and so I think definitely, if you know, he's at Comic Cons, probably doing the last like 3 or 4 Comic Cons. I don't know if he's taking like a tour around Europe or something, but I know that like there are some other ones in America that are going on. I believe Grant Gustin's actually doing one soon, which is pretty cool, before he, you know, goes fully into Broadway. Which was confirmed a while ago. But yeah, I think they're definitely going to hit that January date, considering episode 1 has been written, probably on episode 2 or 3, as I said. And yeah, this is just looking really good for Superman and Lois right now. So I'm very much so looking forward to it. Willie says, is it true that Brett Messenger is going to be on Superman and Lois? Well, we talked about that just earlier, and we think right now, obviously, it would be nice, but it's speculation. It's, you know, them just kind of trying to manifest it, I guess. It's really down to the showrunners and the writers in this case. Let's move on to our next main topic. This is all to do with Superman Legacy. Just want to remind you guys in the chat, you can keep sending in any super chats you have to support the channel, but also we'll be sure to answer you as we go on throughout the live stream. Again, it can be off topic, it can be on topic. It's up to you guys. But yeah, we're about halfway through the stream, so yeah, now would be a good time. But let's talk Superman Legacy. So it was just announced, obviously, after the actor strike ended. We got the announcement that Lex Luthor has been cast. Like, that was a big announcement that we've been waiting for. And I'm pretty sure they had an idea of their Lex Luthor during the strike, and they probably just held off. Maybe they did one final audition after the strike. I don't know the ins and outs. But Nicholas Hoult from X-Men and many other projects has been cast as Lex Luthor. What was your first thought when you saw that, Deck? What was that?
My first thought was good for him. Like, Nicholas Hoult is one of the most unlucky guys in Hollywood.
Didn't he get rejected for Batman? And
yeah, so he was originally up for Batman, for Matt Reeves as the Batman, so he lost out to Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
He has also been up for Superman. He was,
For
I
this
believe he
one,
was up for this one. Yeah, I believe he was up for this one. But I also, so when I saw the news, I was just like, I'm really happy for him. And also, like, Nicholas Hoult is an actor who I really like. He's so great in everything he's in. And I think from the performances I have seen, like, especially if you watch like The Menu from last year, he was so good in that.
The Menu.
That was a great movie, and I think he's going to be a great Lex. And I saw a lot of people say online, which really made me laugh. There's a good narrative because he didn't get Superman, so now he gets to be Lex. And I think and that whole like villain arc is just, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I do believe, I genuinely think Nicholas Hoult was a lock before the strikes.
Yeah,
I think they had him locked. I just think they didn't announce it because obviously the Superman and Lois castings got announced just before the strikes, I believe. It was back in like June, I think. So I think they obviously announced, it makes sense you announce them first before you do the other characters. So I think they honestly had Nicholas Hoult as a lock. They just couldn't announce him. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I think he'll be great. Genuinely, I think it'll be a really, really good Lex.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I definitely think that they had it as a lock before because it was rumored that he tested for Superman, but he also tested for Lex. That was a rumor.
His name was thrown around.
Yeah, his name was thrown around. So I'm pretty sure James Gunn had it in his mind. Okay, we're gonna go with him for Lex, a young Lex once again, just like Jesse Eisenberg. Definitely, a different type of actor Nicholas Hoult is. He's a very good actor. I really rate him. But the question is he too young? Does he not look like Lex enough? Or is that good? Is that a good thing? Is he different enough from the Superman and Lois gruff looking Lex to, stand out in some sort of way? Like, do you think it's actually a good casting? What's your opinion, Deck? And those of you guys in the chat, let us know your opinion on this casting.
I think it's a good casting, personally, because I think I do believe this version of Lex that we're going to get is going to be very classic. I think we are obviously going to see the shaved head. I think he's going to be clean shaven, I suspect. Obviously we've seen like a couple of more like modern interpretations with Lex where they've given like a beard and stuff, which I do think works. Like they did that obviously with the Superman and Lois versions coming up. Back on Supergirl they did it. Titans they did it. But I think this is going to be like classic Lex. And if you want to see Nicholas Hoult bold, watch Mad Max Fury Road. He's bold in that.
Yeah, he's really good in Mad Max Fury Road.
He's very good. So I think he's a good choice. Like, yeah, he might not be like, obviously a lot of people when they think about Lex fan castings, a lot of people just go, oh, who's bold? But like, obviously actors can.
He could just shave his hair. Anyone could be bald. I could be bald. Anyone could be bald.
Anyone can do it.
You don't have to be like bold for years to be Lex Luthor,
exactly.
Right?
And what's I think an important characteristic with Nicholas Hoult, he has very defined eyebrows, which, given the fact that you most likely will be bold in the movie, that will make his like facial features stand out. So I think it's a good casting looks wise, and I think performance wise, he's pretty bang on, to be honest, from what I would expect from a Lex. Like, yeah, he's a bit younger than what we'd maybe expect, but also this version of Superman is a bit younger. So it makes sense. I always see them like roughly around the same age. Maybe that Lex is maybe like 10, 15, 20 years old or something like that. But yeah, I think it works. I think it works.
Yeah, it's a young Superman. You probably need a young Lex as well. So
Especially
it matches
if this
together.
is the case where Nicholas Hoult is going to be sticking around, you know, in the DC universe for, 10 plus years or whatever, however long James Gunn has this plan for. Like, yeah, you're going to want to get someone on the younger side so they actually stick around.
Yeah, but we're going to do something special here. We're going to show you that he can go bold.
Yeah, see? Perfect.
See, perfect. Look, guys, he's bold now.
That's
Lex Luthor.
That's
Have you ever seen a better looking Lex Luthor? There you go. It's Lex right there. So there you go. That proves to you guys anyone can be bold. You just need to cut their hair off. Nathan says Ben 200k members and he will shave his head. Yeah, I guess if 200k members, sure, whatever. 200k subscribers,
people will
sure.
remember that. People will hold you to that.
Nathan, get it done, and we will do it. I will buzz cut my hair. Okay.
I will not.
You will not. Not for 200k subscribers, Deck.
No.
Wow. Your hair can always grow back. You're not Lex Luthor. Remember, Lex is permanently bald, guys. Game on. All right. Nathan, do your thing. Okay. Gary is here. Welcome to the live stream, Gary. It's been a long time, Gary. Nice to see you back. Thank you once again for the $4.99 super chat. Gary says, when do you think Superman Lois will return? So we talked about just before, Gary, that obviously Superman Lois is set to come back filming in January the 11th, I think was the date. It's finishing around April time. It's just over about 3.5 months of filming. It could go on longer depending on, how the shooting goes. Do they need more time or can they fit it in? But in terms of release date, which I guess you're actually properly talking about here, Gary, I'm pretty sure, and me and Deck have said this before, that it's probably going to be sometime in the summer, June, July, maybe even August. Well, if they finish filming in April, they can definitely get it out by the summer. Deck, what's your main guess? June, July, or April? Or August, sorry, not April.
I'm trying to think of the CW schedule now off the top of my head.
Well, I know Supergirl in its final season aired in August. But I don't know if that was special circumstances. Like, when did Supergirl end? Was it the pandemic?
2021?
Was it 2021? Supergirl season... Was it 6 or 7, the final one?
6 was the final season.
Season 6 was 2021. Were we in any lockdowns or any restriction?
We
I don't remember.
Kind of were. It was kind of in and out in 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it actually looks like it didn't start in August. It must have been another year or another. Anyway, Stargirl was a summer show. That's what I was trying to say. There was some shows that used to have a summer release date. I think what was that show that iZombie that used to always air in the summer?
Yeah,
as well.
that was always. Yeah,
I remember. Yeah. So it's not crazy. But I think those shows aired around like July or August. So I guess it would just have to line up with the summer schedule. I think that's the answer, to be honest, Gary. But yeah, if it finishes filming in April, they should be good by then. So I would expect summer 2024, Gary. So thank you once again for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. 200k. How about 10 million for Ben to shave his head? I'll do it with 200k, guys. I don't need 10 million. If you could get me to 10 million, sure, why not? But yeah,
he'll shave his eyebrows for 10 million as well.
Yeah, I plus eyebrows for 10 million. So good luck, guys. Okay, let's continue to talk about Superman Legacy castings. Once again, you guys can continue sending super chats and we'll hop back to them. But we got the Jimmy Olsen casting. Skylar Gizondo is playing him. I don't know how to pronounce his surname properly. Sorry. But I've seen Skylar in some projects before, in some films. I feel like, oh, what film did I see him in? I feel like it was something recently.
He was in Booksmart. That's what I mainly
Booksmart.
know him
Oh yeah,
from.
that was it. It was Booksmart. He was
Yeah,
really
that's what I
funny.
mainly know him from. He was
Also, he
really
was in
funny.
Licorice Pizza. He was really good in that. He had
I've
like
not
a
seen
small
that.
role. Yeah, he was very good. So I'm actually a fan of him. Are you a fan of him? Would you say?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
he also,
Booksmart was what made me a fan of him.
yeah, yeah,
I don't think I'd really seen him before that, but he was a scene stealer in that movie.
yeah. I'm gonna pop up on the screen what he looks like, guys, just to show you that he literally looks like the comic book Jimmy Olsen. Like, imagine just ginger hair. So it's interesting. Like, with what James Gunn is going for with the Superman film, it seems, as far as I know, he's trying to like properly adapt the comics, like casting friggin', this guy has Jimmy. He literally looks like Jimmy Olsen. Like, just dye his hair a little bit, and then also the Superman casting and the Lois casting, like literally just straight out of the comics. Like, so it's sometimes good that they do that because I think it pleases like the hardcore comic fans. But at the same time, it's nice, especially like with the Arrowverse, like how they weren't different with some different, like the Flash, for instance, Grant Gustin, brown hair. That's not something that Barry had in the comics. Like, he was a blonde person, and that's what people knew as Barry. But now, when you think Barry Allen, you think brown hair. So it can be changed, it can be altered, and I think our minds can be altered too. And I think Grant Gustin is just a good example of that. But yeah, so he was cast as Jimmy Olsen. That's a good casting because, like we said, he's a good actor. We also have Eve Teschmacher, who's going to be in this film. I don't think that's very surprising considering Lex is in this film. Eve is very much so linked in with Lex, but Eve is being played by Sarah Sampaio. I don't know how to pronounce her name as well, but this is her. What has she been in?
She
looks
hasn't been
more
in a
like a
lot.
model.
Yeah, she's a Portuguese actress / model, but I think she's
Okay.
primarily a model.
I don't know these films, but
I've never heard of her until then.
But this is a film with Amanda Seyfried, but she plays a very small role because she's not there. Anyway, so she is a relatively new and upcoming actor, it seems, coming from the modeling world, I guess. So it's an interesting casting. She must have impressed in her audition, I guess. That's probably the main thing. Obviously, we don't have too much to go off of because we don't know her. So I think we can say for now, the Jimmy Olsen casting was a really cool casting because, he looks just like Jimmy from the comics, and he's a great actor, which I think is the most important thing. Because, something that annoys me when fans do fan castings, they just, get the person that looks exactly like, the comic book character, but they can be shit actors, like we've seen that before. In various different things. Like maybe I'm thinking Avatar, The Last Airbender. They got actors that looked very similar, but they were really bad actors and the film flopped. So, it's kind of like it just depends on each film and how good people are. But yeah, so would you say those castings overall, Nicholas Hoult, the Jimmy Olsen and Eve castings, would you say they're a win overall?
Overall, I'd say they're a win. Yeah, like I say, I love Nicholas Hoult. Skylar Gisondo, I think, is pretty perfect for.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think if you look at his performance in Booksmart, like that's kind of exactly what Jimmy Olsen is.
Yeah.
And also, like, he's just like this overly confident nerd, and that's just what Jimmy Olsen is.
Yeah.
So he's perfect. In regards to Eve Teschmacher, I don't really have much to say on it because I don't know who she is. I've never seen her in anything. So that's kind of a wait and see. But overall, it's a win. I think that both, I think it's a good lot of casting on the whole.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a win. Okay, let's move on to some super chats. Gary with the controversial and the edgy questions. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate the support. He says, "Do you think Melissa Benoist is hot and sexy?" Well, Gary,
I currently don't have an answer for that.
I currently we're going to answer that by saying no comment, but yeah. That is the typical Gary question. So shout out to Gary. Thanks for the super chat. But Yeah.
I'm currently waiting for my
Those of you
girlfriend
guys
to
in the
turn her
chat,
head.
you can answer that. You can answer that, and we'll read your answers. Let's just say it. Let's put it that way. Do you think we'll ever see a something scene with Melissa? Again, chat can answer it for you. Don't.
I have to like look ahead and read that because I wasn't sure I read it right.
Yeah. Chat can answer it for you, Gary. But I really appreciate the super chat. You know, I miss the edgy Gary questions that we can never answer on stream because we're talking and we're live and this is going to be out there forever. But yeah, the chat can answer you, Nathan, and everyone else in the chat. What do you think of Gary's questions? Let us know. But yeah, shout out to Gary for the edgy questions and thanks for supporting the channel. Okay, Ronnie Dodge has a question we can answer. He says, Skylar is literally comic book Jimmy, perfect cast. It's true. He literally looks like the comic book. And like I said, that can be very good in some situations. It can be bad in some situations. So I think in this case it's good because he's actually a good actor. We've seen him in Booksmart. We've seen him in Licorice Pizza. He's been both great in those projects. So, and he's been in other stuff too. Like I think other people have seen him in other stuff. So he's a really good actor. He obviously impressed James Gunn. And I honestly wasn't surprised to see the casting just because of his looks and how good he is. So yeah, I definitely wasn't surprised. Release the Gary Answers cut. Yeah, Canada graphs. Maybe one day if we do like a edgy Gary live stream, if we ever get Gary on a live stream, maybe we'll answer him. But we'll probably have to take down the video after. Canada Graphs also says, is it true that Chris Wood broke your ankle? Yeah, I was playing against Chris Wood last night. You know, he was in London and he came with the intent of playing football against me and breaking my ankle. So yeah, his lawyer's going to get a call tomorrow. That's all we'll say. Okay. Everyone's just laughing at Gary's questions. It's typical Gary. We missed you, Gary. All right, so that is it for Superman Legacy. We're going to move on. We got a final couple of topics. Again, you can send in your final super chats. We'll be sure to answer them if they are suitable towards the end of this live stream. Thank you to everyone that's been supporting and commenting a lot in the chat in the meantime. Oh, Ronnie also says, I was just watching Santa Clarita Diet, which is a TV show, and Skylar is so funny in that as well. Yeah, I know that he was like a fairly substantial part in that. I've never watched the show, but I remember being in America, I think when San Diego Comic-Con was on, or even before. One time when I went, and I remember seeing the billboards of that. So yeah, it's a pretty big show, and I know that he's in it. So yeah, definitely some people have probably seen him in that. So he's definitely got some fans. So I talked about this on last week's stream, but I don't believe I talked about it with you, Declan. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow,
yeah,
it found its writer. And that is very exciting because that means the project is moving along and it's looking for a director as of right now. So my main question to you and those of you guys in the chat, when are we thinking this new Supergirl film is coming out? Because right now, I don't know what's the furthest they've announced in terms of like release dates. I feel like they released a Batman the Brave and the Bold release date. When was that? Like 2025, 2026? We know
I don't think
that
they've announced the
Superman...
date for Brave and the Bold yet, have they?
Maybe not. Maybe they just tease, oh, it's coming out after Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
But Superman Legacy, we know, is coming out, I think, just after maybe the second week in July 2025. So not this coming summer, the next summer. And so that is going to be kind of kick-starting things after, I think, Creature Commandos, which is an animated show. But yeah, so with Supergirl Woman Tomorrow getting a writer, looking for a director now, it's in active development. Screenplay is done. So when are we saying Supergirl is probably going to come out, Deck? What's your best guess as of right now, like roughly?
Well, I was shocked to see that it got its writer so early because I thought, I don't know, I kind of maybe wrongly presumed that when James Gunn did his Slate video announcement that he kind of did it in a rough order.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Supergirl
And that was quite
was
late.
towards the back end. So, but it's got a writer, which most of the other projects don't. So I'm going to say maybe we're looking at 2027.
Yeah, I would say that's a good bet because if you look at their filming schedule, if they're starting doing Superman Legacy, say in the next few months, because you know the castings have been ramping up recently, and they aim to release it a year later. So with that in mind, you know, Supergirl would film the year before. So let's say they film in 2026 because there is the Brave and the Bold that they're going to be doing in between then, presumably. And, you know, at that point, if they film, say, late 2025 into 2026, maybe early 2026, then you would have like a year in between. And so, yeah, I think probably best guess right now, 2026 to 2027. I know that seems like a long way, but I think in reality it's not very long. It's like 3 years, and you would see a year before, you know, like castings, and you know the year goes by fast anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do
what
you
do
have
you
any
guys think of
choices for
that?
director?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see who the director is. I feel like it would make sense to get a female director. Like, who would we think? Like, I don't think it would be like Greta Gerwig or someone. Like,
No.
obviously, that would be fun. Like, she's a really good director. Um,
Someone who popped into my head was Gina Prince Blythewood,
yeah,
who
she's pretty good. She did the woman. No,
no, she
woman.
did the Old Guard on
The
Netflix.
old god, that was it. Yeah,
Although I can't remember the director's name, but the woman who directed The Woman King would actually be a good shout, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's check who directed the Woman King. That was a good
But
film.
yeah, that was good. She would be a good shout.
Oh, it was her. It was her.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
that
was.
was her
Okay.
last film. The Old Guard was 2 years before. The Woman King
Okay.
was her last film. So yeah, we're thinking along the same lines, which is good. Yeah, I think she would be like a decent bet for that. Bryce Dallas Howard, Ronnie says. I'm not so sure. I don't feel like she's the best director. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I really like her episodes of Mandalorian. Like, I genuinely think she has some of the most standout episodes of Mando.
Okay.
So and a lot of people have been calling for her to actually do a full-fledged Star Wars project.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more likely we might see her do a Star Wars project rather than like a DC.
Rather than a DC one, yeah, I think so.
Or even like it might be more likely she does a Marvel project because of the Disney connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think she'd be a good choice, to be honest. I wouldn't say no to it.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I just think she's more connected to that Disney side, definitely. Okay, so let's go on to our final topic. So it was just also announced that the Penguin is back in production. So that is something that we'd been expecting for a while because they filmed like maybe, I don't know, half to 3/4 of the TV show. They even released that teaser trailer a while ago. So what do you think of it coming back? I think we expected it to start like right away. I think it's starting after Thanksgiving. It's already past Thanksgiving, right? Or
I think
am I
Thanksgiving
wrong?
was yesterday.
Yesterday, I feel like. Yeah, sorry for those of you American. Happy Thanksgiving. But yeah, we're not too sure when it was. But it's supposed to be back. I guess it's starting maybe Monday. I would guess like that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna see more from the Penguin. Are you looking forward to the project? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm looking forward to it. Like I think that the Batman was a great foundation for the start of this little universe, and Colin Farrell, like, tremendous actor, and
Yeah.
truly transformed into that role. So yeah, I think it'll be cool. I'm still not overly enthused about the idea of all these spin-offs. Like, it's just a thing that is kind of annoying me as of late. Is that if like one thing is successful, we immediately have to get like all these spin-offs and TV shows greenlit. But that being said, if it's got the same sort of talent behind it, then so long as it's good, that's the main thing. And I think with Colin Farrell leading it in this particular character, I think is really, really cool. I'll be interested to see if this kind of ties in some way into the Batman Part 2, because this is obviously going to be following on directly from Part 1. where we saw him kind of from that window look out to Gotham and kind of see an opportunity in front of his eyes. So I wonder if this will kind of give us, because I'm presuming in terms of the timeline of things, we're going to be getting this followed by the Batman Part 2. Like, I think we will get, I'm presuming we'll get the Batman Part 2 before the Arkham series, or am I wrong?
Definitely after it comes out.
After.
So yeah, I think, you know, if it, I think there was a rumor a while ago that it was actually delayed a little bit. I think it was originally supposed to come out like 2024 April. Obviously, it's not going to come out by then because they've not finished filming it. We're into the end of November now. Maybe they finish it before the end of the year if they're lucky. But there's the potential that they have to come back and film in January as well. So yeah, it's not going to be April. It's probably going to be either late this year or the start of next year. Just based on, you know, what they have to do. Like, it's got to stand up to the Batman 2. And like you said, you know, they teased basically the Penguin's future with that final shot, you know, with him looking over at Gotham. And, you know, I'm very much looking forward to the show. Let us know, what do you guys think in the chat? But yeah, that pretty much does it for this live stream and all our main topics. Alessia says, I think Gary should ask more. Yeah, that's true. Nathan's still trying to get Gary a bloody membership. Yeah, every time Gary shows up, it's after Nathan has gifted members. So, you know, bad luck, Gary. You got to come earlier, Gary, because that's, you know, when Nathan has done it traditionally.
I'd just like to add in some context there. Alessia is my girlfriend, and she sat over there.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, I recognize that name, but not sure. But yeah, so
she's giving me a funny look.
Yeah, funny look over there. Anyway, Nathan says he knew it. How did you know that, Nathan? Are you like sort of mind reader or something? Penguin, but I give it a watch advantagely. Oh, you said you're not interested in Penguin. I think I'll definitely give it a watch. Like, I love the Batman. Looking forward to the Batman 2. So yeah,
I think if I didn't like the Batman as much as I did, I wouldn't be as interested. But I absolutely loved the Batman. Like, genuinely, in my opinion, it gave the Dark Knight a run for its money in regards to being, like, you know, a good Batman movie. I don't think it's quite as good as the Dark Knight, but like, I remember there. Like, it's up there. I remember coming out of it, and I don't know if it was maybe recency bias at the time, but I was kind of just like, yeah, that might have been better. But over time and after a rewatch, I have sort of settled back down to the Dark Knight being a bit better. But yeah, I love the Batman, so I'm down to see what it is at least.
Yeah, me too. All right, so that pretty much does it for this live stream, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on it as we end the live stream, just to get the likes up. And we'll be back next Thursday as normal. Apologies you couldn't do last night. Obviously, friggin', you know, ankle and everything. I was in the hospital, so
I love how you texted me last night saying that you can't do it, and I just didn't think any more of it. I just thought, oh, he's got plans, whatever.
Yeah, no.
But it wasn't.
What was worse? I was just, you know, trying to message people, but then I was like hobbling along on one leg and in a freaking wheelchair in the hospital. And, you know, not fun. I was in pain, so yeah. We'll be back next week with a normal live stream on a Thursday. But yeah, this has been, you know, a special one for tonight. So shout out to Deck. Go check out his channel. He just released a new video to do with the Arrowverse, guys. Come on, go watch him, support him. DC Central,
video, please.
On YouTube. We need more videos, guys. So go ahead and watch it right now after this live stream ends. But yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week for another live stream and more videos on my channel and hopefully more on Dex. Okay, see you guys later. Goodbye.